Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Sherman, and for about the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to be your instructor on Social Security benefits, getting to know your benefits, and how to maximize your income. So, a couple points we're going to go through today is how and when to claim your Social Security benefits, what are your options, and what you need to do. So, our goal is to give you enough information today that you'll feel more comfortable when it comes time to place your claim. Like I said, my name is Matt Sherman, and for about the last 25 years, senior benefits have really been my forte. I go out into the community and talk to people about not only Social Security, but about Medicare supplements, talk about long-term care and transitioning to retirement and how to protect your retirement assets in this volatile market with safe money solutions. My mission today is not only to bring you value in understanding Social Security benefits, but also I would like to provide you an opportunity to achieve that and to better understand it through a couple of software programs that we have. One is a timing report. We put the information into the timing report software directly from your from your statement, excuse me. And in that, it will produce several scenarios for us that you can look at. So, for instance, is 70 your optimal time to claim, or is full retirement the optimal time to claim? What would it look like if you claimed at 62 versus 70? So it will show you all that. The second is a retirement analysis. It's always good to have a roadmap, and in today's terms, I guess you would say a GPS, so that you know where you're going. This report shows you where you've been, where you're going, and will give you a clear outlook, if you would, on are you going to outlive your assets? Do you have the assets that it will take? And if not, can you make some adjustments along the way? Are you going to have to need to work a couple more years? Very helpful, and that's going to be a free offering that we have for you. What I want you to understand is there's nothing to sell or buy here today. Just want you to relax. If your arms are crossed, uncross your arms, relax, and hopefully this information will help you out along the way. As far as questions are concerned, a lot of people come to me and they say, we checked with the Social Security office, can't seem to get any advice from them. They will give us answers, but they're very general answers. So hopefully we'll be an option for you to get some sort of advice, or at least provide you with enough information so that you can form your own opinion. We are a good source for that advice. And here's what we'd like to, what I'd like to share with you today. I'll make you two promises. One is that as you have questions, general questions, post those with your email address. We're going to try to get to every single question that's posted today. If we don't happen to get to all of them, then by all means we'll get to you within the next 12 or 24 hours. If you have anything specific, maybe let me know within the question that it's a specific question as it relates to you. I won't post that or go through that as we go through this today. But again, I will answer that question to you so to help you out form a decision on your part. So today we're going to learn about what is Social Security, and we're going to keep it very simple. Social Security is a social program, a social insurance program, if you would. And it pays out about 66 million people benefits each month. I kind of look at it and do an analogy that it's kind of like an annuity. And what I mean by that is a component of annuity is it will pay out a lifetime income throughout the years. Social Security also has cost of living adjustments, and we'll talk about that in one slide about how it increases in value and the income increases. So we do have one question that's come up here. It's our first question of the day. Will Social Security be around for our kids? That's an interesting question because a lot of times people ask if it's going to be around for us. I think it will be around for us. We're here. I'm 63 years old now, so it won't be too long before I claim. But as far as our kids are concerned, I think it'll be around. I think it's going to look different than it did for us. It's going to look different for us than it did for our parents. So I think the same will be true for our children, but I think it'll be around in some form. They're making different changes, tighten up loopholes, making full retirement ages later. So they're making adjustments so that it will be around. What is Social Security for the average earner? Well, I think this is an interesting question as well. when my parents were of age, when they were alive and they were receiving their Social Security income, I know that they relied on it very heavily. My dad had a small pension from a utilities company. He worked for about 35 years, and so he relied heavily on Social Security, probably 80%, and the other 20% from the pension. Nowadays, look at the numbers. We can only depend on Social Security for us for about 40% of our income in our retirement years. The other 60% needs to be made up from retirement plan distributions, savings, annuities, brokerage accounts, the income that those bring in. And the interesting thing is really nothing has changed. Social Security themselves say that we're going to need about 80 to 100% of our income, our pre-retirement income, to be comfortable in living in our retirement days. So there's multiple claiming strategies when it comes to Social Security. That's why that claiming report that we can do for you is so very important. There's 81 age combinations, 567 sets of calculations. And if you make the wrong decision, if you don't claim at the correct time, especially when it comes to a spousal couple, it can make all the difference as far as over $100,000 in difference as far as benefits that you're going to receive over a lifetime. So here's another question. Are we going to talk about working after claiming Social Security? We are, and it's going to come up in a couple slides, so if you'd be patient, we'll get to that in just a minute. So they did a Gallup poll a couple years ago, and the main question they were asking is, what is the main concern within the retirement community? And bar none, the number one answer was, will I outlive my money? Will I outlive my money? 46% of the people said that they were concerned about it. Another 40% or so were very, very concerned. So when you combine those two, over 86% of people had some level of concern whether they are going to outlive their income in their retirement years. Pretty staggering. So Social Security was enacted by President Roosevelt back in 1935, and what I find interesting about this slide is that life expectancy at the time was 63, and Social Security became available at 65. So that's not a misprint. Those numbers are factual. And the plan at the time, based upon life expectancy, was that, here's a social program we can help people out with in their retirement years. And it'll be for those people that are lucky enough to live beyond the life expectancy of 63, 64, 65. And so, history has shown us that, we live longer by far than people were living back then. In fact, if we look at optimizing benefits, it's very critical to make sure that you get it right. In 2010, there was roughly 54,000 people over the age of 100. Now, the bad news, guys, is about 17.2% of those were men. The rest was made up of women, 82.8%. But the bad news is that even today, women, it just hasn't been brought up to the same level. Women are not making the same amount of money that men are. So it just becomes more important that, God forbid, if it shows on the numbers that women are outliving men. So if you look at that and say, okay, men are making more money, so their Social Security check is going to be higher traditionally, then it's all that more important to make sure you maximize that benefit for your surviving spouse. So if we looked at the numbers, life expectancy for a 65-year-old male is about 83 years old. Life expectancy for a 65-year-old female is 85 years old, and the chance of one spouse outliving the other or living to age 97 is 25%, so pretty remarkable. So I mentioned earlier about some changes, some loopholes have been tightened up. The Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015 worked hard at trying to achieve some of that. The full retirement ages were adjusted, so now there's different full retirement ages for different people born in a certain month and a certain year. The Budget Act mostly affected people born after January 2nd, 1954. They tightened up some loopholes like the restricted application benefit and a few others. If it's something that you feel is important, that how does it affect you based upon you and your wife's birth date, I've provided the Social Security website there. You can go on there, look up the Bipartisan Act, and just go through it and see how it affects you. So when we talk about will it be enough, will the money that you've been fortunate enough to accumulate over a period of time, is it enough? So I'm going to go through a couple things here just to kind of point out what I mean by that. Social Security, we have that. We've gone over that. We know that we have that available to us. Whatever savings we have, what have we been able to build up? And then we have retirement plan distributions, annuities. So when I say is it enough, let's think in terms of, let's say you have $1 million, and you think you have $1 million, but that $1 million is in qualified retirement assets. Those are the assets that at some point you're going to have to do those required minimal distributions, those RMDs that you've heard about. Now they did just change the age of that. It used to be 70 and a half, now it's 72 and a half. But at some point Uncle Sam's going to want his money back. And if you're in a 25% tax bracket, all of a sudden you don't have $1 million, you've got $750,000. So that's just some food for thought to think about. It's not coincidental that I put the third point on there as retirement plan distributions and annuities as kind of the foundation of that tree, the foundation of your retirement. So kind of take a look at it that way and say, okay, those are the assets I really need to protect and make sure that they're around to provide me the income that I need. And the fourth is other income sources when you retire. Maybe you have some rentals, you've got some income coming in. Maybe, based upon how things have gone, maybe you're going to have to work a second job. So you've got that additional income coming in to maybe work part-time and be part-time retired. So here's another question. What happens to your Social Security benefits if you die and leave a surviving spouse? Well, your spouse is always going to get the higher of the two incomes. She or he doesn't get to keep both checks coming in, but will keep and retain the higher of the two checks. So if that check that's higher happens to be the spousal's, that's the one that they're going to have. We're going to have a one slide that we're going to go over about that in just a moment as well. So earlier I made a comparison, a statement that Social Security is like an annuity, and it has that lifetime income, but it also has a rate of return, if you would, which is called the cost of living adjustment. Now it's interesting, I think, that since 1975 when it was enacted, it's averaged about 3.68%. That's not bad. I mean, if we were looking in terms of a CD, it'd be really good these days. But as far as a rate of return, that's pretty decent. Some years it's been zero. If we look at 2016, zero. But then some of the other years, pretty decent. But like I said, over the last years that it's been in place since 1975, it's not done bad. About 3.68, not too shabby. So let's talk a little bit about claiming ages, and this is one area that bipartisan act that has been changed. It used to be that everybody claimed at 65 years old as the full retirement age. That has changed. The earliest age that you can claim is 62. Each year that you delay claiming, that amount will go up about 8%. So the difference between 62 and 63, so you're going to give yourself about an 8% raise, if you would. The latest age is 70. Now, no sense waiting until after 70. There's no benefit. So, at 70, go ahead and claim. You're not going to get any benefit by waiting. Full retirement ages have changed from, if you're born between 1943 and 1959, it's about 66 plus. For instance, I was born in 56, October. So the claiming, my full retirement claiming age is 66 and 6 months. So that's how that works. Full retirement age after 1967 or later is 67 plus. So I again have provided the Social Security website. Go on there, take a look at it. We're going to talk about that and how you can register for that. You're going to have to at some point. You can download statements and such. So that'll be available to you. So here's another question. Interesting question. Good timing. At what age do most people claim? Well, it's interesting because about 50% of people claim at 62, and you kind of say, gosh, I wonder why that is. Well, I think a big reason when I talk to people, they say, well, I just want to make sure I get my money. I want to make sure that Uncle Sam doesn't keep it. I want to make sure I don't pass away and, I miss out on that opportunity and Uncle Sam gets to keep it all. Other reasons are just pure affordability. People need to, for health reasons, or just want to retire at 62. So they have that money available to them. But keep in mind that if you can put it off for each year that you put it off, you're basically giving yourself a raise of about 8%. Big difference, obviously, between 62 and 70 years old. So this question came up earlier about working while you're receiving Social Security benefits. So at age 62 to age full retirement, these are adjusted for 2020. You can make $18,240. Now, for every $2 over that, Uncle Sam's going to keep $1. If you're over that, if up to full retirement age, actually it's about the year leading up to full retirement age, you can actually increase your income to $48,600. And in that situation, for every $3 that you make, Uncle Sam's going to keep $1. At full retirement age, and let's use me as an example, 66 and 6 months, I can make as much money as I want to over that. I'm not going to be penalized. Uncle Sam's not going to keep that. And just understand that what we're talking about is if you've already claimed and you want to work, these are basically the restrictions. Now, what happens to all that money that they keep? Do they keep it? No. They do return it back to you, but they don't show up with a big Publishers Clearinghouse check for you and say, hey, congratulations, here's that $25,000 or $30,000 we kept of yours. What they will do is they will distribute it to you equally in increments to your monthly check once you finally do claim, and you'll get that money back. You live long enough, you'll get it all back. If you don't live long enough, Uncle Sam gets to keep it. So what is provisional income? Well, as defined by the Internal Revenue Service, it is the sum of the wages, taxable and non-taxable interest, dividends, pensions, self-employment, and other taxable income, plus 50% of your annual Social Security benefits. So I'm just going to go over an example with you. If you have anything specific as it relates to your situation, go ahead and put that into the questions for me. Send it to me, and if I don't get back, well, I'm not going to get back to it during today, but I will get that answer to you in an email in the next 12 to 24 hours. So, as an example, let's use two real simple examples that are shown on the screen here. Let's suppose you're single, and you take all those and you put them together, and your provisional income comes out to be $25,000. You're single. The taxable benefits are zero. Now, if you make over $34,000, what they say is there's going to be a threshold of up to 85% of that number, that $34,000. And whatever 85% of $34,000 is, you're going to pay whatever your normal tax rate is. If your normal tax rate is 12%, you're going to pay 12% on that 85% of $34,000. Hopefully that helps. And like I said, we'll get into a little more detail for you specifically if you'd like to do that together. So spousal benefits, we want to talk about a little bit, and how how the benefits are for a spouse. You must be at least 62 years or older, or have a qualifying child in your household under your care that receiving Social Security benefits and have been married for at least 1 year. Now, the important takeaway for this is really two bullet points here that we have listed. One is if you begin receiving those benefits between age 62 and your full retirement age, the amount will be permanently adjusted or reduced by the percentage based upon the number of months up to your full retirement age, unless you have a qualifying child. The second part of that is, and very, very important, is if you claim your spousal benefit before you reach full retirement age, you will not be able to switch that and change it at a later date. It will be written in concrete and cannot be changed. So make sure that you understand that. Benefits of a divorced spouse. This is always a fun slide to talk to people about. There's a couple of questions that always come out, and that is, hey, if I do this, will it reduce my ex's check by the same amount? No, it doesn't. Do I have to ask permission? No. You don't even have to notify that person. You just simply show up at the Social Security office with a divorce decree, your marriage certificate, and you go over it with them, and they'll let you know what you have available to you. So there are certain points that have to be met. The first is your marriage has to have lasted at least 10 years or more. You remain unmarried during this period. You're at least 62 years or older. Your benefit that you're entitled to receive based upon your own work is less than the benefit that you would receive from your ex-spouse. And your ex is entitled to Social Security. If they're not entitled, all bets are off, or to the disability income benefits. Now, even if your ex has not applied for retirement benefits and is entitled, you can still qualify. What if a spouse dies? And we talked a little bit about this earlier. We kind of touched on it. If you are widowed or you are a widower, unfortunately, you don't get to keep both checks that you're receiving with your spouse. But what they will do is you will always receive the higher of the two checks. Unfortunately, the other check goes away, but you will always receive the higher of the two checks. There's a couple of do-overs. In golf terms, we like to call it mulligans. What happens if you claim at 62 and then realize that you made a mistake? Maybe you had a job that came along during that year, and you can make more money than if you were receiving your benefits. You can actually delay it. This is the one and only time you can delay your benefits and do a do-over. So the rule is that during those 12-month period, you stop the benefits, you delay it, you pay back any money that you've received during that period of time. You delay it, and then you go on and you work or do whatever you want to do, and later on you can claim again at full retirement age, or even at 70 if you want to. The second way of sort of suspending benefits is delaying benefits is suspending benefits. Now the way this works is, let's assume you've reached full retirement age, and same situation comes along. You have a job that you want to work, and you're like, wow, I just want to suspend my benefits. So you can, and what will happen is, as you suspend those, you're going to increase those benefits over the years as you wait. And let's say you wait between 66 and 6 months up until 70, your benefits are going to be much higher, right? So, there's some advantages to do that at 70 years old, same old thing. There's no sense of waiting beyond that. You claim at 70 and you have a much higher benefit. Before you make this decision, make sure you understand what you're doing and that you're able to pay those benefits back during that first year of being 62 years old. And again, it's always a good idea to have some sort of plan in place to understand this, a budget, whatever, so that you know that you're able to do it and you can afford to do it. I talked about this earlier, and I highly recommend that you do this. Even if you're 59, 60 years old, go online, register, set up your Social Security benefit account. Doesn't mean you have to claim or anything, but you can go on there and set it up. And what this will enable you to do is start downloading those statements so you know where you're at, and you can know what to expect when you're at full retirement age or at 62 if that's what you think you're going to claim. So it's available to you. It's simple, it's easy, it's quick, it's secure. No reason not to do it today. So hopefully mission accomplished. Hopefully we provided the information that you needed very generally. Just a couple more minutes here left. If you have questions that didn't get answered, or if you posted a question, we didn't get to it, I will get that answered to you, I promised. But if you have any other questions or concerns that we didn't go over, and you thought maybe we're going to get to it and we didn't, go ahead and post that down below. I'll leave the screen up a little bit longer. Get that up and with your email address, and I'll get that answer to you. So I want to remind you about the Social Security timing plan. This is something that I think is extremely valuable. I've done it for me and my wife. It's very encouraging and enlightening, so that you understand that why you would want to claim at full retirement or age 70 instead of 62. But it also can, concrete, if you would, why it makes sense to claim at 62, because that's what you want to do. The other is the retirement analysis that gives you that roadmap to where you've been, where you are, and where you're going in your retirement. We'll put all that information in together. If you're interested in that, maybe just post it down below with your email address, and I'll get to that and let you know what we need to complete that. So again, I hope this has been helpful. Hopefully we answered some questions you had today. If you, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, if you posted some questions, I promise you we'll get those back to you. I hope you've enjoyed the class and you have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here today.